You're getting distracted because you're going on YouTube and you're watching Minecraft videos. Maybe you should be a Minecraft creator. If you're getting distracted by going on Instagram and looking up avocado recipes, maybe you should be doing something with avocados and cooking and recipes. Like, think about what you're getting distracted by, and then how can you turn that into a career? Because it's never been easier or more possible.
Evan, when you were young, you were, as many people would describe, as a slow learner. Uh, as a kid, how did it feel always being a little bit behind from others?
Normal. I don't know. It felt normal for me. I had a hearing issue, where it took a long time to diagnose, but I couldn't hear properly, and so as a result, I was super slow at picking up information because I couldn't hear. Early, I used to hide under my desk. So I was at school, and while the teacher was teaching, I sat under my desk because I couldn't understand and I felt stupid.
If you are now to go back in time and tell one sentence to your young self, what would you say?
Believe, believe that it's possible. Believe that you can do it. Believe that you're good enough. Believe that you'll make it. Believe. The answer is believe.
Evan, you used that power of belief to, prop yourself back up. You got into a full scholarship at the University of Toronto. You were doing great. And then a new opportunity came along, two entrepreneurs, and you decided to take the opportunity. So why was this new startup so lucrative that you would, sacrifice a lot of the work you put into getting into the University of Toronto?
Ben's done his homework here. This is great. I like it. Yeah, I thought I wanted to be a banker. If you look at my high school yearbook, when they ask you in 10 years, where are you going to be? And mine said VP at a bank. And then I went to university, and I turned it all around in my last year of high school. I actually got straight 90s, and we could talk about that if you want. But that led me to get a scholarship, which for me felt crazy because I was a B or C student. To then get a full scholarship to the best university in the country felt crazy. So I was on the fast track, and I was looking at getting those banking jobs that I thought I always wanted, and I had that opportunity to join a company, and it was a different world too. I think I'm 40 now, right? So this is back when I was 19. This is 21 years ago. You kind of had to be crazy to be an entrepreneur. It, a lot of people were starting businesses. You almost meant that you were crazy or that you couldn't get a job. So that's why you went and became an entrepreneur. Where now everybody's got their own side hustle, YouTube channel, podcast. Is great, man. This is amazing. If I was starting over and I was 13, I'd be doing my own show. It's fantastic. But you kind of had to be crazy. So I had this really tough choice in my last year of university of, do I go with this company, own 30% of it, so a significant chunk, but make $300 a month, or take this six-figure job straight out of university, travel around doing the banking deals that I thought I would want to do. Which one should I do? And my friends all wanted those jobs. Um, I remember Merrill Lynch flew me out to the Waldorf Astoria in New York, flew me there, put me up in the fanciest hotel there. Like, they're really courting, me to come and join. Where my friends were here are stuck in Toronto, not getting the invites. So uh, I just made the decision. You know what? I'm going to give myself a year. I'm going to take a pause for a year. I'm not going to go get a job for a year. I'm going to try to make my company work. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I didn't know for sure this is going to work, but I wanted to know. I didn't want to live with regret. I felt like I could always go back and get a job. It may not be with a big company. It may not be in New York. It may not be that, but I could get another job in investment banking. I didn't know if I'd ever have this chance again. And I didn't want to be an old man at 40 and think, I regretted it. I wish I did that. I'd rather know and fail than not know. And so that gave me the courage to just do my business. And we struggled a lot, but thankfully never had to go back and get another job.
And, it was the same kind of deal here as you had in your childhood. It seemed like a lot of things were against you. You only went to, I believe, one social activity a month. You were making, like you said, $300 a month. And, it seemed like it was much better to quit and, take a job. And it's the same situation that happened in your childhood. And in that senior year, what are some habits, things you developed that helped you, turn things around?
The biggest shift in my last year was I had a mentor. And one of the things that we did at our school, I mean, I always had my parents as my mentors, and that was great. But I had Madame Farr, who what they did at my school is they partnered up every graduating student with a teacher, and that was your mentor teacher. And I got partnered with Madame Farr, who was the French teacher, and I didn't even know what that even meant. Okay, I have a mentor teacher. What are you supposed to do? Most people never met their mentor teachers at all. They just partnered up, whatever. Okay, thanks, great, move on. They meet once a year or something. Um, I ended up meeting mine every week. I forget what day, but in the morning, one day a week, like a Wednesday morning, I'd always meet her outside the staff room and we'd have a conversation. She'd ask me how I was doing and give me support and advice. I thought that was just normal, but I didn't realize I'm the only one who's actually meeting my mentor teacher every week. And she made me feel like things were possible. She believed in me and gave me advice and gave me encouragement and gave me support. Um, and that really made a difference for me in that now I was able to go from straight B's and C's to 90 plus every course. I finished with 90 plus. And it just reinforced that I'm not stupid. I just need the right mentors and the right plan. If I can get the right mentors and the right plan, I can figure something out. If I try to do it all on myself all the time, then it's easy to feel like you're stupid.
Yeah, Evan, you have an amazing story. And now I want to talk a little bit about present right now. You have a book called Built to Serve, which by the way, I ordered your signed copy and it's coming soon. But in, a sentence, how would you summarize this book for our young listeners?
The idea is that you are built to serve, that whatever you struggled with is what you want to help other people through. And it walks you through how to figure out your most important core value, how to find your purpose, and then how to turn that into a business so you can make money while serving as well.
A big thing you talk about is, taking control of our life. As kids, though, we don't always have a choice in, where we live, what we learn, even sometimes what we do. What are your suggestions for us kids to do what we can to take control of our life?
How old? How old are you right now? 14, dude. That's crazy. I love it so much. What was I doing at 14? Uh, I mean, I would that was baseball card season for me. I was 12 and 13, so just a little bit younger than you. And I remember every weekend going to do baseball card shows and negotiating over 25 cents with people who are 40 and 50, or our dollar is a coin here in Canada, and the coin might have had gum or dirt on it, and it's like, okay, I'll give you a buck, but it's got this gum on it. Like, I'll take it and clean it off. Like, this is how I built my I made some money, but it wasn't about the money. It's about the negotiation and the hustle and the effort and the just being willing. You're doing it here. You're 14 talking to a 40-year-old, right? I mean, I would have been terrified to do something like that. Um, it's recognizing what can you control. If your parents don't support, let's take the worst. Your parents don't support your podcast. Your parents say, Ben, this is stupid. You need to go become a whatever, a doctor, a lawyer. You can't be a podcaster. Well, you're probably too young to move out, right? I mean, at some point you have to become an adult, right? At some point, 14 may be a little young, but maybe, I mean, maybe it's 16, maybe it's 18, maybe it's 20. Like, at what point are you an adult and you're going to start to live your life? This is a very interesting time, like between 14 and 18, is to start realizing I need to be able to start living my life. So it's like, what's the small version? So I'm looking at compromises. So if you're, and I'm not saying your parents don't want you to do the podcast, I'm sure they're super supportive, but like, let's go with the worst case scenario. Well, your parents probably love you, right? Like, chances are your parents love you. And for everybody listening, watching, your parents probably love you. They just don't understand the world that exists for you right now. your parents at 14 were totally different. The opportunities available to them were totally different. If you are a 14-year-old and you're going to call up and have a conversation with a 40-year-old, it's like, wait, what? And what are you talking about? It's just super weird. So they want you to have success. They just see success totally differently than what you see it as right now. So they probably love you. Now, they have different expectations of you. And as long as you're under their roof, you have to at least try to match it so you don't get into trouble. So if they're saying, okay, well, what we really care, Ben, is that you get good grades in school. Great. So if I get straight A's in school, can I have my podcast? Like, right? That's the negotiation, right? It's like, hey, so you're under their roof. This is the deal. You're going to study hard. You're going to get your straight A's or whatever it is. And then you get to do your thing on the side. At the same time, I'm looking at how do I hack my education to do the thing that I want to do. So every school project I have would try to be around my podcast somehow. Every alumni from my school, I would contact, right? Every person that you respect who's graduated from the school, and you can even ask the principal, like, who are the biggest people who've graduated from here? Those should be guests for your podcast, right? If somebody called me from my high school or my elementary school, say, hey, I'm starting a podcast. I know you graduated here. It's a lot easier for me to say yes than just some random person, right? Can you get featured on the school's social media page, in their newsletter, right? So I'm trying to hack my education to also support the thing that I want to do, but recognizing that it's this negotiation between what your parents want and what you ultimately want to do. And at some point, you might have to break free and go do your thing. And that might require you moving out. And so you have to have a way to support yourself while you're moving out. Think about it this way. If you had to move out, how would you support yourself? Well, you'd have to get a job. So is it better to have a job working minimum wage or study at school and be at home? Right. So like, there's always these trade-offs. But that's if I'm 14, that's what I'm thinking about right now. But it every year shifts a little bit more where it becomes a more real possibility, right? Some people are 40, still living at home, still doing what their parents want them to do, and not living their life. Like that person needs to move out and go do their thing. 14, you still got a little bit of time, but it's managing what your parents want you to do. Because if you get your straight, like bring a solution instead of the solution being no, you can't do your podcast. Like, well, what do you want? I want you to get straight A's and go to bed on time and do the dishes or whatever your responsibilities are. It's like, okay, I will do that. If I do that, can I have my podcast? Yes, perfect. Like you start negotiating your way up.
That's a great answer. I love, being able to, leverage the things that are expected of you to do things you want to do. Evan, I think something I personally struggle with a lot is getting over that fear of rejection and getting said no to, because a lot of it also comes down to, what others think of you. And it's pretty easy to see a random friend and, I don't really care too much if they say something mean to me, but it's different when it's your closest friends and it's your family members. So how do you balance out, caring what others think about you without letting that take over?
Well, you have to start asking yourself, is the person that's giving me advice, do they know anything about what they're talking about? So if you're going to go and talk to your parents about your podcast, do they listen to podcasts? Do they know anything about a podcast? Have they ever interviewed anybody in their career or not? Right. And if maybe they do, right? Maybe they're experts at podcasts and they can give you great information, but chances are they're not. Like chances are the thing that you want to go off and do is not what your parents are doing, right? Chances are you don't want to take over the family business or run the same career that they have. You want to do your own thing, right? Your parents probably don't know much about TikTok or Snap, you know, or or Clubhouse or any like they just don't know. And so their opinions are not likely going to be very helpful to you. So that's the first one is understand, okay, does this person have anything meaningful to actually contribute? Like is their advice valuable or not, right? And if no, then you can start to discount. If anything, you do the opposite of what they say. Well, you should do this. Okay, great. You're not doing this, so I'm going to go this way instead.
That makes a lot of sense. Being able to look at that feedback you're getting and evaluate if it's going to help you and if it's coming from, a good source. something I've always wanted to do is start a business. And I've, like I said, when you were 14, you were doing the trading cards. And, when I was young, I also used to, sell avocados on the street. In fact, but now I want to get into something a lot more serious. But I find myself getting really excited about these new projects. But then after a month, it kind of wears down, like, the shiny object syndrome. So, what are your tips on, staying committed and following through?
Um, avocados is a weird. Where do you live?
So I actually live in California, so we have a bunch of avocado trees in our backyard.
Like in your backyard?
Yep.
That's amazing. I love that so much. I would buy some of your avocados. I love avocados. Um, in Toronto, Canada, we can't grow them here. Uh, you have to love the process of it. So how do you avoid the shiny object syndrome? Often that's the result. It's like you like the result of making money. You like the result of helping this person. You like the result of um, being able to put that work in and help people and have extra cash in your pocket. Like you like the result. Do you like picking avocados? Do you like looking after the avocado tree and watering it? Do you like having a like maybe no, right? So that's the problem. You have to like both the result as well as the actual process of doing it, right? So if I look at me, I've done over 10,000 videos on YouTube. And people ask me, don't I burn out? Like, no, because I like it. Like talking to you right now, this isn't work for me. I like it. It's fun. You've done your research, you're asking great questions. I don't look at this on my calendar and say, oh my God, okay, I got to do an interview. Who's this guy? Ben, what are we talking about? I look forward to it. I open up my calendar, like, oh, this is going to be fun. I can't wait to talk to this guy, right? So the result is going to be an interview that goes on your show and maybe gets me more views or gets you more subscribers or whatever. Great, but the actual process, you've done a lot of work to research my story to come up with all your questions, which is great. Did you enjoy the process of doing that? Did you enjoy the process of us talking here, right? If yes, then this could be your business. If no, then I think it's great to explore it. Like I think it's great that you had all these ideas and that you did something with it and then realized, oh, I don't actually like it. Great. Like that's you should how do you know if you like avocados or not? Well, you have to eat one, right? I mean, it looks nasty. I mean, an avocado, you open it up, I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to be the most appetizing thing, and especially having like I didn't grow up with avocados. I'm Italian. We don't really have it in our cooking. But then I tried it. It's like, oh, this is awesome, right? Or or I think of sushi. The first time I looked at sushi, I thought it was, wait, it's raw fish with seaweed. That sounds nasty, right? And then you put some crazy spicy green stuff on it, mustard, right? Wasabi. That's nasty. But then you try, it's like, oh my God, this is actually pretty good. Like, how do you know? You could think through it, but the thinking alone isn't enough. You have to actually taste it. So you like avocados or you don't like avocados or you like sushi or not because you've actually tried it. And so I think it's great, especially when you're young, to try a whole bunch of stuff as soon as possible to see if you actually like the process. I think everybody should try a podcast. Just try it. Try it once. And if you didn't like it, it doesn't matter if it was good or not. Don't expect it to be good. Expect it to suck. Expect your first questions to suck, all of it. But did you like it? Like, was it fun? Do you want to go back and do it again? Because if you can have fun doing it and the time flies by and you enjoy the result of it, that's your winning business idea.
Yeah, I love that line about, the best way to see if you like the avocado is to just take a bite. Evan, so I'm trying with this podcast to, solve a lot of the problems that will be in my future and the world's future by inspiring entrepreneurship, right now in kids, because, they're the next entrepreneurs. And I'll tell this advice to people on the podcast, kids I meet, and about 10% I would say actually follow through on that advice. 90% will say it's too difficult, too risky, or not necessary at such a young age. How can I convince that 90% to go for it?
Is this when you're actually talking to somebody?
Yeah.
You get them to do something. So if you're going to inspire them to start a podcast, okay, great. Let's start it right now. And I did this. I mean, somebody was on my Instagram live and she's like, I'm with her on Instagram live. We're both on it together. And she's like, I want to start a podcast. how do I start a podcast? Like, okay, this is your podcast. Let's go. Introduce yourself. Ask me questions. We're going to record your first podcast right now. Yep, right now. And then she went on and kept making more podcast episodes. Like, the first step is the hard step that people think is just giant and impossible. And then you show them that it's actually not that difficult, and you believe in them and help them actually do it. So beyond just the words and encouragement, because there's a shelf life. Like, you might have got them inspired, but then an hour later they don't feel they can do it anymore, right? It's worn off. But if you can actually get them to do something and realize, oh, that's actually not that hard. I could do it. You've started the momentum, which is a lot easier for them to do. So immediate action on something towards their dreams.
That's a very, very big piece of advice. I mean, I expected a different answer, but yeah, that's definitely really amazing. And next time I talk to a kid, I'll definitely be having them, if they want to start a podcast, I'll have them start interviewing me. If they want to start a company, I'll help them, open up a Wix account to start working on their website. But I love that piece of advice, Evan. Now, my last question is that in this digital age where there's a lot of distractions, things to do, how can us young people focus, find purpose, and avoid, like you always say, avoid going to a job we hate, going back home into a home that's too small in the future?
I would look at, what are you getting distracted by? Because the answer might be in there. So if you're getting distracted because you're going on YouTube and you're watching Minecraft videos, maybe you should be a Minecraft creator. If you're getting distracted by going on Instagram and looking up avocado recipes, maybe you should be doing something with avocados and cooking and recipes. Like, think about what you're getting distracted by, and then how can you turn that into a career, because it's never been easier or more possible. If you're sitting in history class and you're hating it and you're daydreaming and you don't want to think about the Civil War or whatever you're being taught, right? Some people love history and that should be their thing. But pick your worst subject. What are you daydreaming about? Shoes, music, cooking? Like, what are you daydreaming about? Whatever you're getting distracted by likely has the answer for what you should be doing.
That's amazing. I think that definitely helped me, solidify what I should be doing. Because, I always think about business when I'm in class. Now in digital learning, I'll often find myself, looking at spreadsheets during English class. But yeah, that's great advice. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Evan.
Thanks for having me, Ben. It's been tons of fun. And dude, I'm so excited to see where this all goes for you. You got a bright, bright, bright future ahead of you.
Thank you so much, Evan.
All right. Much love, man. Cheers.